Dr. Jill Rutter, Senior Fellow at the Institute for Government. Good morning.
Good morning, Emma.
What do you make of these sorts of appointments? I mean, specifically, if you just went to James Timpson, it's quite a leap, some would say, from running a big, successful business and having that sort of contact with ex-offenders to being in charge of prisons.
Well, it's quite a big leap. I mean, it does mean he's actually got experience of organisations, which a lot of people who've come up through politics, maybe through being a political advisor into being an MP, don't have. So he has that big plus. What he obviously doesn't have is experience of the world of politics. So that's, I think, where some of the big transformation will be. And what we don't know is whether he's been very closely involved advising the shadow Labour team before they became the government. So whether he and the new Justice Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, already have a very good and effective working relationship and a clear view of what they jointly want to achieve, and actually what's going to be one of the hardest questions landing in the ministerial in-tray this side of any possible recess.
It can be, when you've done this, and looking back through some of the interviews with people who've come from the outside, not been elected and tried to help a government, it can be one of the most frustrating experiences for those people. Do you think that on balance, though, the benefits outweigh what might be difficult?
I think there are potentially big benefits to government to have people who can bring genuine expertise. We throw people into ministerial positions, at least by appointing people who've been shadowing these briefs. We've got people who have been doing the preparation. That's not always true when we see new governments being formed. But I think it is great to have people who know things. And someone like Patrick Vallance, who has been appointed, has actually been inside government. He was chief scientific advisor. So he absolutely knows that and knows what government's like. So I think that's a really, really interesting appointment. I think it is very useful. I think the big task is to make this work both for the government and for the new incoming minister as well, to make sure that they're properly supported in all their new duties, understand what they were, and actually don't find themselves distracted away from what they think they've been brought in to do. So, a Lords minister potentially has to answer questions across the entire departmental brief in the Lords, may find themselves piloting through legislation of which they don't know that much, not in their area. And I think if you brought people in to do a task and to sort something out, it's really important you give them some space to do that, but also they have a good relationship with the Secretary of State. That's absolutely critical.
In the run-up to this, as it's become a Labour landslide victory, there were details emerging around how Labour were preparing for government and how some less experienced MPs, as well now ministers, were being trained. Can they hit the ground running day one, in your view?
I think, the Institute for Government's been doing a lot of work with shadow teams, and so have other people. So I think in terms of taking the task of preparation seriously, they were taking the task of preparation seriously. But is that any preparation for actually being confronted with making difficult decisions on day one onwards and being confronted with that? I think you can do a lot of preparation, but it's really, really different to be there, to be in charge, to have lots of people. It's the scale of the organisation. It's the number of people trying to advise you. It's building relationships with people that you've never worked with before. All of those are big challenges.
It takes
some people
time.
take to it like a duck to water, others not so much.
Yes, there's a skill in being able to do that in itself. Dr. Jill Rutter, Senior Fellow at the Institute for Government. Thank you.